The following is a WCG Reynaldo co-production.
Jeez Louise!
It's time for another Rob Haynes adventure. From Palms, California, WCG Comics and Adventure Beer are proud to bring you a transcribed adventure from the files of Randy Reynaldo's Rob Haynes. This is your host, Bob Westal. Well, the WCG players can't wait to bring you tonight's thrilling tale from the classified archives of Justice International. But first, a few words about Adventure Beer from an expert on adventure, Charlton Heston. A man who, when not fighting disrespectful rappers, taking on Hollywood liberals, or narrating inspiring documentaries on Desert Storm, likes a good brew now and then. Isn't that right?
That's right, Bob. Though to tell you the truth, I've kind of given up on iced tea lately. But let me get down to business. When you hear the words adventure, beer may not be the first thing that comes to mind. That's what makes Adventure Beer brew just a little bit different. One bottle in every 23 of Adventure Beer is laced with a little something extra. We can't say what that is over the air, but trust us when we say that it's one bottle that can truly make for a fascinating evening. Adventure Beer should never be drunk near balconies or ledges. Be sure and hide all sharp objects before enjoying a fresh, cool glass of the beer that makes life dangerous again. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks, Chuck. And now, tonight's tale of action, romance, and mystery. 3 Days of the Fanboy. As our story begins, Rob Haynes is concluding yet another harrowing assignment.
This good-looking young man is Rob Haynes, globe-trotting detective for Justice International. Would you say that was right, Rob?
Yes, Phil.
Now help me out here, Rob. You say you're straight and quite comfortable with your sexuality, yet you're always being sexually approached by men, particularly in torrid Middle Eastern locations.
Not all the time, Phil.
But some of the time.
Oh, all right. Yes.
Rob, you obviously have a great body and a behind to die for. We'd all like to know how many times a week you work out. And have you ever considered taking a job at Chippendales? It would be a lot less dangerous, and those boys make good money.
Hold that thought, and we'll be right back with more pretty boy detectives who'd like to be hit on by women for a change.
Hello, Justice International. Business is our danger.
Jeez Louise, Abner, that was as humiliating as it gets.
Not so fast, Robbie. Mr. Gerard has your new assignment ready.
What about the lady who offered me $200 to do the Dance of the Seven Veils at her Hadassah social? What could be more humiliating than that?
I know J.I.'s in trouble,
Jeez Louise, I know, but you better just talk to Mr. Gerard.
Mr. Gerard?
Come in, Rob.
So what's this assignment? You're not going to make me go undercover with that dwarf-tossing ring again?
No.
No, Lord, it's not the Young Republicans in the Beta House again.
No, the sheep ranchers in the University Humane Society have that one wrapped up. Rob, do you know anything about comic book collectors?
Not much.
Ever heard of the Lemming?
I've heard of lemmings.
He's a superhero. You see, a lemming-like outer space being imbued him with the stamina and spiritual powers of the lemming out of gratefulness for developing a new antidepressant.
Okay.
Well, the key here is that OD Comics recently put out a 5-issue series culminating in issue number 342 with the lemming's death.
Really?
Yes, it seems he gets caught up in the Niagara Falls Marathon.
So...
Well, that last issue naturally stirred up a lot of interest, and 300,000 kids bought it, in hopes of making a killing on the collector's market. Only one problem.
What's that?
300,000 kids bought it.
I don't get it.
Well, too many copies in circulation, many of them owned by a collector named Johnson McFeely, and he's hired us. You see, there have been scattered reports, rumors really, that copies of Lemming number 342 have been disappearing.
How?
Oh, different ways. Fire, theft, newsprint chiggers.
Newsprint chiggers?
Well, newsprint and mylar chiggers. They ate through the plastic bags, too.
What am I supposed to do about it?
Protect them against fire, flood, chiggles, pit bulls, whatever.
Look, Mr. Gerard, I really don't...
Let's see who's on Sally Jesse tomorrow.
Rassam, Vivo Fritters. I should have gone to law school.
Bridge.
Rob Haynes, Justice International.
Who says? Do you know the password?
Oh, sorry. Oh, behold the mutant.
Haply doth the mighty behold the galactic highways.
And admire the wandering protoplasm?
Cool. I'll buzz you in. Oh, sorry. Let me turn this down.
Hi, wow. That's really lifelike.
Yeah. I was looking all over for life-size models of the lemming, but they all sucked. So I had a guy do this for a few grand. Cool, huh?
Do a lot of superheroes have jowls?
No, that's what makes the lemmings so cool. That's what will make me the world's richest man in comic collecting if he doesn't get to me.
Any idea who he is?
It could be a lone madman, or it could be...
What?
I can't talk about that. I can't think about it. It's just too terrible to contemplate.
You sure? It sounds important. Maybe we should talk about it.
No. No! No!
I can't help you if you won't.
You don't get it, do you? This is serious. Somebody out there is ruining copies of Lemming number 342. There's only 120,000 of them left, and I have 80,000. Nothing else matters. Nothing. What more could I tell you?
You sure you don't want to talk about it with somebody? Maybe your clergyman or healthcare professional.
They're not qualified. Much later that night, it is quiet in the apartment, with only the gentle whir of the Halon fire protection systems and the striking of the clock.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. God, 3 in the morning and nothing's happened. How am I supposed to stay up this late? I drink coffee, but Randy won't let... Jesus H. Louise!
Sounds like old Rob screwed up another job. We'll be getting back to him after this continuity moment with the man himself, Rob Haynes' creator, Randy J. Reynaldo.
Thanks, Bob. I'm sure you continuity buffs out there are wondering how 3 Days of the Fanboy fits into the Rob Haynes mythos as a whole. I mean, what's Rob doing in the States when his current tales of daring do all take place overseas? Well, I'm happy to say that I've barely given it a moment's thought. Life, those of you who have one will agree, is too short. But don't worry, WCG zombies, for I have made accommodations. I've just decided that tonight's story is set on WCG Earth 2. However, the Rob Haynes in it is not the Earth 2 Rob Haynes. You'll remember that the Earth 2 Rob was recently sidelined with a bad case of Lyme disease? So due to a shift in the eternal timelines, the hero of 3 Days of the Fanboy is actually the Earth Prime Sub-A Rob Haynes, who is not to be confused with the two-headed Rob from the alternate space-time continuum, nor with the Rob from the Bizarro world. That's her spawn as a low-selling mini-comic. For more details, read my upcoming epic series, Crisis of Infinite Robs, to be immediately followed by Rob Haynes, Year 1. That's all for this continuity moment, and remember, whatever you do it continuously. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks, Randy. You know, folks, after listening to that, I can truly say that it's no mystery why they call that man genius. We'll be returning to 3 Days of the Fanboy in moments, but first, here's Jean-Claude Van Damme with a message from the good people at Adventure Beer.
Excuse me, I am not Jean-Claude.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Dolph Lundgren. We always get you two mixed up.
Okay, look, I am selling Adventure Beer. Sure, I really wanted Jean-Claude for it, but at least I made the list ahead of Jeff Speakman. I guess it was because I was smart enough to turn down the role of the replacement to Kurt Thomas in Jim Cotta 3, the compulsory floor exercise. I told my agent...
Dolph, the beer?
Oh, yes. Sorry, you bloated, filthy, money-grubbing runt swine. Well, I do know a little something about adventure, and when it comes to beer, I always make mine adventure, that's all, Bob.
Thanks, Dolph. And a word for you comic book media crossover fans, The Punisher 2 is slated to be premiering at video stores throughout the Third World early in 1994. Well, in case you forgot, things looked bad for Johnson McFeely's remaining Lemming number 342s. We rejoin Rob back at Justice International, where he's doing some serious explaining to Mr. Gerard.
They went whoosh! 80,000 comic books spontaneously combusted before your eyes?
Yeah?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see what the boys in forensics have to say before McFeely sues us for all we're worth.
Hello, Gerard. The Mylar bags the comics were kept and were sealed, which created a chemical reaction and...
They spontaneously combusted. Thanks. Mr. McFeely, how nice to see you. I have a meeting relating to the future of the entire free world. I'm sure they'll excuse me.
Haynes, I'm getting to the bottom of this now.
Well, it seems that your bags were sealed airtight.
Never!
Oh! Mr. McFeely, Johnson, please let me go.
I'm half your size, but I'm dangerous when I'm insane.
Yeah.
You have to believe me. I would never, never, never seal Mylar bags. I wouldn't even Scotch tape them shut. You have to believe me.
I do.
Good. Look, I know you couldn't have prevented what happened, and that's okay, because I still have 200 copies that I secured in a secret vault in Zurich. They'll be arriving here via Concord at 1 p.m. at Kennedy. Haynes, you are to keep them safe, but know this. They will be after it.
Who?
You're so naive. When I hired you people to protect my comics, I expected a thoroughgoing knowledge of the forces that shape the contemporary comics industry. Not a bunch of freaking mundanes who don't so much as understand the difference between classic X-Men and the uncanny X-Men, for God's sake. There are forces at work here. Forces so dangerous that their name cannot even be spoken out of doors.
Actually, we're indoors?
Yeah, well, I still dare not discuss them, except to say, beware the Swede.
Beware the Swede?
I meant Swede. Beware the Swede, okay?
What does a Swede look like?
What's a Swede supposed to look like? Max von Sydow! You're pathetic.
Why not leave Ullman?
Don't joke with me, Haynes. I want you on the tarmac at Kennedy in 30 minutes. After we pick up the comic, I will go into hiding in a nameless South American republic. The comics should be here at 3:30.
But it's only 10:30 now. That's 5 hours from now.
I'm not taking any chances. Besides, I've got comics.
Hey, Johnson, got any Calvin and Hobbes?
That's not comics. Here, read this.
Right, Mutant Wagon Train. Porridge Hound, the Oat Beast. Alien versus Batman. Alien versus the Terminator. The Terminator versus Predator. Predator versus man. Predator versus nature. And Predator versus God. Who won?
A draw. They're both continuing characters.
Wait a second. See that man over there? He looks an awful lot like...
Max von Sydow!
Shh. You know him?
No, but I've heard tales. It's the kind of thing they talk about at cons. Not early in the day or the evening, but late, after the 14-year-olds have all gone to bed and the last filk song has been sung, and then only in hushed tones. Nobody knows who he works for or why they hire him, but wherever he goes, spontaneous combustion and newsprint jiggers always follow.
I'll talk to him.
Excuse me, sir!
He's disappeared.
Don't look behind you, Mr. Haynes, but you and your fanboy friend are coming with me.
Well, it looks like Rob has a new femme fatale to deal with. And while Rob may be staring down the wrong end of a 45, perhaps now would be the time to place yourself squarely at the right end of a glass of cold and mildly dangerous adventure beer. The beer for those who'd rather suffer the legal consequences than compromise on refreshment. So cool, so clear, so likely to lead to a near-deadly encounter with local police. Adventure beer. The beer that 2 out of 3 death row inmates ask for by name. Ah, adventure, thy name is beer. And here with another special testimonial, Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang himself, the former James Bond, actor and man of the world, Sean Connery.
You bastard. I said I wouldn't do it if you bloody mentioned bloody James bloody Bond. I'm history.
Hi, I'm Paul Songus. You may remember me from the presidential election. I was the guy who swam and got sick. I'm sorry to bother you in this nice recording studio, but I wondered if you had a moment to talk about reducing our national deficit.
Sure. Yeah, in a minute. Unfortunately, Mr. Connery had to attend a last-minute emergency lunch with his agent, so his testimonial will be read by our special in-studio guest. Here, read this.
Okay, sure. You know, it's not always easy traveling the world, being accosted by beautiful, sex-crazed women, having million-dollar deals waved under my nose by scummy producers in Cannes after drinking 15 straight shots of tequila. Let's face it, being the suavest man on earth is tough as hell. That's why I like to pound an adventure beer or 2, or 3 or 4 every day. It's a man's drink for a man's world. And if I get that special 23rd bottle, well, let's just say it's time to lock up your granddaughters. I dote on the stuff. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks, Senator. Here's $5 for the deficit.
Gee, thanks.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of 3 Days of the Fanboy. Rob and fanboy extraordinaire Johnson McFeely have been blindfolded and taken to an apartment somewhere in Long Island by a mysterious female. And the Swede? Well, let's listen in.
Johnson?
Yeah, Haynes, I'm here.
Where are we?
We're in Tina Ninetsky's apartment.
She's the one who brought us here.
Yes. She's beautiful and dangerous. You know, we were lovers once.
Oh, I didn't get a look at her. She has a nice voice.
She has a nice everything. Yes, she's in that picture over there with her family.
Oh. That dumpy guy in the front is sure no prize. The one with the gigantic hawk nose on the left. It's funny how some teenage boys wait to shave even though they've got that weird fuzz all over their face.
That's Tina.
Hello, Mr. Haynes. I brought you here because although Johnson and I are no longer together, I felt I had to warn him. You see, Mr. Haynes, I work for OD Comics, and I've been given these.
Tina, my God, those comics aren't bagged! How could I have ever loved you?
You were always such an idealistic fool. It was my job to destroy them. In fact, it was one of my operatives that sealed your Mylar bags.
Why?
Orders. There were forces at OD Comics that wanted to drive up the price. You see, they had 10,000 copies that were to be slowly sold after the price was driven up to outrageous proportions. As you know, Nano Mega Multicom, the parent company of OD Comics, lost heavily in the California land market during the 80s, and something had to fill the gaping financial void. But now, I brought them to you to save.
Why the change?
I have new orders. There are conflicting forces at work here. You see, there is an OD Comics within OD Comics.
It cannot be!
I've always loved that fanboy naivete of yours. You see, OD Comics now believes that if too many comics appear to spontaneously combust or be eaten by newsprint chiggers, it might discourage collectors from hoarding special issues and thereby cut into the company's profit margins by several percentage points.
You mean?
Don't you see? We must save the remaining Lemming number 342s.
Sweet!
Hey, now drop that blowtorch!
I'm sorry that I had to bite your ear like that.
Now, all the lemming number 342s are gone. My job is done. You may all go now.
Now wait.
No, young Rob. Your adventure is over now. You have no proof, and Mr. McFeely has no source of cash. But you may all accompany me to my condominium. I've got a case of ice-cold adventure beer. And Thunderbirds are go on Laserdisc.
Cool. Got any Japanimation?
No, but I've taped every X-Men episode.
Hey, you can't just...
Mr. Haynes, leave it alone. It just doesn't matter anymore. They're too powerful. And I think maybe Johnson and I can work things out after all.
Wait. It's not over yet, Tina. The comics may be gone, but you and the Swede will both be punished. You see, right now, everything we've been saying has been picked up by tiny radio receivers in the Wolverine logo on my t-shirt and beamed via satellite to the offices of the Comics Buyer's Guide.
You mad fool. I think I love you.
How do you know they will print it? You should have given it to the Comics Journal instead. Of course, then you might have to be in the letters column. Well, in any event, it seems I can retire for now. Perhaps we'd be better off without the rampant speculation that so corrupts this still nascent art form to which we are all so devoted. Oh, look at the time. We'd better hurry if we don't want to miss Logan's run on the Sci-Fi Channel.
In a minute. Mr. Haynes, you've helped to expose this corruption and brought us back together. Mr. Haynes. Mr. Haynes. Johnson, Mr. Haynes is gone.
He's been looking kind of glassy-eyed for a while now that I think of it.
Now we'll never be able to thank him. And all he left was this bill. What a man.
You know, to him this was just another job, but I'd like to think that somehow he's been forever changed by this assignment.
How could it be otherwise?
Hello, Chippendales.
Hi.
Who's calling?
I'd rather not say.
To whom shall I connect you?
Personnel, please?
Well, so ends 3 days of the Fanboy. Tonight's adventure gleaned from the top secret files of Rob Haynes. We hope you enjoyed tonight's show, and, of course, every time you crack open the latest ish of Adventure Strip Digest, we hope you don't forget to also crack open another bottle of cool, crisp Adventure beer. And try new Adventure Beer Light. Great taste without all the embarrassing hallucinations. 3 Days of the Fanboy was written, produced, and directed by me, Bob Westal. The WCG Mystery Theater players are, in alphabetical order, Scott Brick, Terry Delegeane, and Dave Gordy. Special appearance by Randy Reynaldo as himself. The part of me, Bob Westal, was played by Scott Brick. Technical assistance was by Scott Colden. Executive producer, Randy Reynaldo. Well, until next time, just keep listening until we say...
Jeez Louise!
It's time for another Rob Haynes adventure!